When my girlfriend asked if my college buddy could really be just a friend, I laughed. Of course she's just a friend, I said. If she were more than that, trust me, she wouldn't still be making fun of my haircut from sophomore year. Yeah, that was my first mistake. See, I've known Jenna since college. We've been through all the late night study sessions, terrible cafeteria food, and that one time she convinced me to audition for a play just because she needed a ride. Spoiler, I can't act. At all. But hey, the janitor still remembers my Shakespeare impression. Anyway, things were simple. I had my girlfriend, I had Jenna as a close friend, and recently, my sister had moved into my place in New York while figuring out her next steps. One apartment, 3 women in my life. Easy, right? Except it wasn't. Because suddenly, Jenna was showing up more often. Dinner nights, casual. I was in the neighborhood, visits, hanging around like she was part of the furniture. Don't get me wrong, I love my friends. But when my girlfriend started giving me the look, the one that says, "What's going on here?" I realized maybe this wasn't so harmless anymore. And okay, I'll admit it. A tiny part of me felt like I was in one of those cheesy sitcoms where the main character is somehow more interesting than he really is. 2 women at my table, both paying attention to me. Yeah, my ego definitely sent me a thank you note that night. But don't worry, my girlfriend's glare happened over lasagna. My girlfriend had come over for dinner. My sister was already home, and Jenna just happened to drop by. Casually, with a bottle of wine and garlic bread. Totally random. We all ended up sitting at my tiny dining table, which was really built for 2, maybe 3 people if you didn't mind elbows. 4 of us? Forget it. I felt like a referee at a boxing match, except the gloves were smiles and side eyes. My girlfriend kept her polite smile, but every time Jenna laughed at something I said, I saw her eyebrow twitch. And Jenna? She was laying it on thick. Compliments about the food, inside jokes from college, even reminding my sister about embarrassing stories from my younger days. I tried to play it cool. Laugh here, crack a joke there. Honestly, part of me kind of enjoyed it. What guy wouldn't feel a little important, sitting there with 3 women paying attention to him? But another part of me knew I was one sarcastic comment away from eating lasagna alone for the rest of my life. And the worst part? My sister seemed oblivious. She was just happy to be included, chatting away while I silently prayed my girlfriend wouldn't notice how Jenna's hand accidentally brushed mine when she passed the bread.
A week later, it happened again.
Spoiler. Different
She
night,
noticed.
same story. My girlfriend came over. Jenna just happened to stop by. This time, my sister suggested we all watch a movie together. Great idea, right? Until I realized we only had one couch. So there I was, squeezed in the middle like the world's most uncomfortable human sandwich. Girlfriend on my left, Jenna on my right. My sister sprawled out on the recliner with a bowl of popcorn like she was watching a live comedy show instead of a rom-com. Halfway through the movie, Jenna leaned in to whisper some old joke from college. I laughed. Reflex, pure reflex. But my girlfriend's head snapped toward me like I'd just announced I was running off to Vegas with Jenna tomorrow. Funny? My girlfriend asked. Sweet as sugar, but with eyes that could melt steel. Yeah, inside joke, I muttered, trying to sink deeper into the cushions. And then, because the universe hates me, Jenna grinned and said, "Yeah, you had to be there." I swear I felt the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees. The rest of the movie, my girlfriend didn't say much. She just sat there, arms crossed, occasionally glancing at Jenna like she was auditioning for the role of mortal enemy in some teen drama. And me? I just stared at the screen, pretending to care about the plot while silently negotiating with fate. Please, let this end without me sleeping on the couch tonight.
The morning after the
Spoiler,
movie night from hell,
I still ended up on
my
the
girlfriend
couch. Finally dropped the act. No polite smiles, no sugar-sweet voice. Just straight to the point. "Are you sure Jenna's just a friend?" she asked, arms folded, standing in my kitchen like a detective who already knew the answer. I nearly choked on my coffee. "Yes, absolutely. We've been friends since college. She knows all my embarrassing stories. Trust me, if she wanted me, she'd have blackmail material for life." Not the best choice of words. She raised an eyebrow. "So she's around all the time because, what? She misses cafeteria food?" I wanted to argue, but she had a point. Jenna had been around more lately, dinners, movies, random visits. And as much as I hated to admit it, my girlfriend wasn't imagining things. Still, I wasn't ready to throw Jenna under the bus. Look, she's just comfortable here. With me. With us. My girlfriend leaned in, eyes narrowed. Too comfortable. And that's when my sister walked in, yawning, wearing my oversized hoodie like she owned the place. Perfect timing. She opened the fridge, pulled out the milk, and said, "Wow, this feels like some soap opera. Should I grab popcorn?" I buried my face in my hands. 3 women, 1 apartment. And me, apparently starring in my own reality show called
later,
Man
I was
Who
making
Can't
breakfast
Win.
when my sister plopped down at the table with that smirk she gets when she's about to roast me alive.
"So," she said, stealing a piece of my toast, "how's life with your harem?" I nearly dropped the frying pan. "Excuse me?" She grinned. "Don't play dumb. Jenna's been here more than I have, and I literally live here. If she starts paying rent, I'm moving out." I rolled my eyes. "She's my friend. That's all." "Uh-huh," my sister said, pouring herself some coffee. "And I'm secretly the Queen of England." "Please, brother. Even your girlfriend is starting to look at her like she's plotting a takeover." I opened my mouth to protest, but she cut me off. "Don't worry, though. I get it. You're eating it up. You sit there at the table with 2 women hanging on your every word, and your ego's doing cartwheels." I tried to argue, but the truth hit me harder than my overcooked eggs. She wasn't wrong. I wasn't encouraging Jenna. But deep down, yeah, it was a little flattering. My sister laughed at my silence. "Don't worry. I won't tell your girlfriend. Yet. But seriously, you better figure this out before she decides she's done with your little sitcom life." She grabbed her coffee, winked, and walked away like she'd just dropped a grenade in my kitchen. And me? I just stood there, wondering when exactly my apartment turned into a season
I decided to
finale.
fix everything with
Dinner. Not just any dinner, a proper, everyone's invited, look how harmonious we all are kind of evening. Girlfriend? Check. Jenna? Check. My sister, the peanut gallery? Oh, double check. I cooked like my relationship depended on it. Steak, mashed potatoes, salad that actually had more than just lettuce. Even lit a candle, which I regretted immediately because my sister said, "Wow, romantic." Should I leave? We all sat down, and for about 10 glorious minutes, things were normal, civil, polite. Like, maybe I wasn't starring in a soap opera after all. Then Jenna laughed at one of my dumb jokes, touched my arm, and my girlfriend's fork froze midair. My sister, of course, noticed. "Uh-oh," she muttered under her breath. "Here we go." I tried to steer the conversation. "So, how about that new pizza place opening on 3rd? But it was too late. My girlfriend gave Jenna a smile so sharp it could have sliced the steak. "You sure you're not already eating here enough?" Jenna blinked, caught off guard. My sister nearly choked on her water, trying not to laugh. And me? I realized I had officially lost control of my own dining table. The rest of the night was a blur of awkward small talk, forced laughter, and me praying for a power outage. At least then I'd have an excuse for the tension. When everyone finally left, or, in my sister's case, went to her room, I just sat there staring at the empty plates. My brilliant plan had only proved
the
one
world's
thing.
most awkward
I was
group
in
dinner.
way over
I
my
decided
head.
it was time to pull Jenna aside. Just a quick chat to clear the air, right? Easy.
I texted her, "Hey, maybe swing by tomorrow? Just you." Simple, direct, nothing to misinterpret. Next evening, she shows up with cheesecake. "Peace offering," she said, grinning. Okay, not a bad start. We sat down in the living room, plates in hand. I cleared my throat, trying to sound casual. "So, Jenna, about the other night." And that's when my sister walked in pajama pants, with a face mask on. "Oh, private cheesecake party? Don't mind me." She plopped down on the armchair like she'd bought tickets. I glared at her. She ignored me. Jenna giggled, but I pressed on. "No, seriously. We need to talk. It's about you being here so much lately." My sister gasped dramatically. "Finally! He's kicking you out. Took him long enough."
Would you not? I snapped. Jenna looked between us, amused. Relax, I get it. You and your girlfriend need space. I don't want to cause problems. I nodded, relieved. Exactly. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. It was almost too easy, which, of course, meant it wasn't the end. Because as Jenna was leaving, she hugged me just a little longer than usual. Not enough for my sister to notice. Oh, wait, scratch that. Wow, my sister said, arms crossed. If hugs were any longer, I'd be charging rent by the minute.
I wish
I
I could
buried
say
my
things
face
calmed
calmed down
down
after the
again.
cheesecake fiasco. They didn't. A few days later, my girlfriend called me out of the blue. Her voice was calm, which was somehow worse than if she'd been yelling. So, she said, guess who I ran into at the coffee shop this morning? My stomach dropped. Please don't say Jenna. Bingo, she replied. She was very friendly, very comfortable, almost like she thought we were sharing custody of you or something. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Look, I'll talk to her again. I promise. There was a pause. Then my girlfriend sighed. You'd better, because if she keeps showing up everywhere, I'll start thinking you're secretly running a fan club. I laughed nervously, but inside I was panicking. Because as much as I wanted to believe Jenna would back off, it seemed like she was everywhere. Coffee shops, dinners, my apartment. And I had a sinking feeling I wasn't the only one noticing. Because later that week, when I got home, my sister casually mentioned, "Oh, Jenna stopped by." We had a little chat. I froze mid-step. A chat? About what? She just smirked. Wouldn't you like to know? I groaned. The way she said it, the way she grinned, it was the kind of look that told me I had no idea what was really happening. She was making tea. So, I said, trying to sound casual, what exactly did you and Jenna talk about? She stirred her cup slowly, like she was enjoying the suspense. Relax. Nothing bad. We just talked. Talked about what? I pressed. My sister smirked. Oh, you know. Life, New York, college stories. She asked me how I'm adjusting here. I frowned. That's it? Well, she said, sipping her tea. She also asked what kind of people I usually hang out with. And she seemed very interested. I raised an eyebrow. Interested how? She leaned in a lot, smiled. You know, like when someone wants to make a good impression? I groaned. Great. So now she's working on recruiting you too? What is this, Jenna's friendship expansion pack? My sister laughed. I don't know, bro. She was nice. Really nice. Actually, I kind of liked talking to her. I rolled my eyes, convinced she was just teasing me. Fantastic. That's all I need. My sister and my best friend teaming up to drive my girlfriend insane. She shrugged, still smiling. Or maybe, she said quietly, you're not the main character in this story after all. I froze. What does that even mean? But she just carried her tea back to her room, leaving me standing there like an idiot. And here's the thing. At the time, I didn't think much of it. But looking back,
Came one Friday night.
that was the first clue. I was stretched out on the couch, enjoying a rare moment of peace, when there was a knock at the door. Of course, it was Jenna. No text, no call, just Jenna, standing there with takeout and that big grin of hers. Thought you might be hungry, she said, breezing past me like she owned the place. My sister peeked out of her room, eyebrows raised. Wow, she's here more than the mailman. I shot her a look, but Jenna just laughed and plopped down next to me, close enough that our shoulders brushed. Long week? She asked, handing me a container. Yeah, I muttered, already bracing myself. Because here we were again. Me, Jenna, food, and the unspoken tension thick enough to spread on toast. We ate, we talked, we even laughed a little. But then, Jenna leaned back, looked straight at me, and said softly, You know, I don't think your girlfriend really gets you the way I do. Boom, there it was. The line I'd been dreading. I nearly choked on my noodles. What? She shrugged, casual. I mean, we've known each other forever. We just click, you know?
I sat there stunned, my brain screaming, okay, that's it, time for the talk. Because if this kept going, my relationship was doomed. I had to clear the air. I had to tell her straight. I loved her, but only as a friend. And maybe, just maybe, stop letting my ego enjoy this circus. So I made up my mind. Next time we were alone, I'd finally say it. No jokes, no dancing around, just the truth.
I didn't waste time.
Or at least
The next evening,
when my sister was
the
out with friends, I texted Jenna. Hey, can you come over? Just want to talk. She showed up 20 minutes later, casual as always, smiling like nothing in the world was awkward. We sat at the kitchen table, and for a second, I almost lost my nerve. But then I remembered my girlfriend's glare, my sister's smirk, and Jenna's little, "We just click" line. Nope, no more dodging. Listen, Jenna, I started, taking a deep breath. We've been friends forever. You mean a lot to me, but the way things have been lately, it's messing with my relationship. And I need you to understand something. She tilted her head, curious. Okay, I leaned forward. I love you, but only as a friend. That's it, nothing more. Silence. For the first time ever, Jenna didn't have a quick comeback or a joke. She just stared at me, eyes wide, like I'd just spoken in another language. Finally, she said very quietly, "Wow, you really don't get it, do you?" I blinked. Get what? She looked away, biting her lip, clearly struggling. I wasn't falling for you. My brain short-circuited. Wait, what? She let out a shaky laugh. I didn't even realize it at first. But spending time here, talking with your sister, she trailed off, cheeks flushed. And suddenly,
stared at her,
everything
waiting
I
for the
thought I
punchline.
knew flipped upside down. Any second now, she'd laugh and say, "Gotcha, you're so full of yourself." But she didn't laugh. She just looked nervous, really nervous. I think I've fallen for your sister, Jenna finally said, voice barely above a whisper. I blinked. Once, twice. Pretty sure I forgot how to breathe. My sister? She nodded, cheeks red. I know. It surprised me too. I didn't plan it. I've never felt like this before. But when I'm around her, it's different. I leaned back in my chair, trying to process. For weeks, I'd been stressing over saving my relationship, over what Jenna might be feeling for me, over my girlfriend's suspicious glares. And now Jenna drops this plot twist? I rub my face. So let me get this straight. All those extra visits, the dinners, the movie nights. Yeah, she admitted, smiling sheepishly. It wasn't really about you. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Loud. Maybe a little too loud. Oh my God. And here I thought I was the star of some love triangle. Turns out I was just the guy holding the popcorn. Jenna laughed too, though her eyes still held that nervous sparkle. I didn't mean for it to get weird. I just didn't know how to tell anyone. Least of all you, I shook my head, grinning despite myself. Well, congratulations.
A couple of days later,
I
you've
came home
officially
from
blown
work
my
and
mind.
heard laughter coming from the living room. Not just any laughter, my sister's full-on, can't-breathe, practically snorting kind of laugh. Curious, I peeked in. There she was, sitting cross-legged on the couch with Jenna right beside her. They were flipping through an old photo album of mine that I didn't even know still existed. Judging by the red faces and tears in their eyes, Jenna had clearly just shown her the picture of me in my wannabe rock star phase, spiky hair and leather jacket included. Wow, my sister gasps between giggles. He actually left the house like that? Oh yeah, Jenna said, smirking. He thought he was hot stuff. The cafeteria ladies called him Elvis for a semester. They both burst into laughter again, practically leaning into each other for support. I stood frozen in the doorway. For weeks, I'd been so busy worrying about my girlfriend's jealousy, my ego, and my friendship drama with Jenna that I hadn't noticed. The way Jenna's eyes lingered on my sister, the way my sister nudged her playfully, the way the room seemed lighter, brighter, just because they were together. And for the first time, I realized Jenna hadn't been lying. She really did feel something. And maybe
I decided my
mine
girlfriend
deserved the
felt it
truth.
too.
After weeks of tension, suspicion, and side eyes sharp enough to cut glass, she needed to know what was really going on. We were at a cafe, sitting across from each other.
I took a deep breath, leaned in, and said, "Listen, about Jenna." Her eyes narrowed instantly. "What about her?" "She's not into me." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really? Because it sure looked that way." I nodded quickly. I know. But I talked to her, and the truth is, she likes someone else." "Someone else?" My girlfriend leaned forward, clearly invested now. "Yeah, my sister." There was a beat of silence, then another. Finally, she blinked and said, "Wait, what?" I nodded again. Crazy, right? But it makes sense now. All the dinners, all the hangouts. It wasn't about me. It was about spending time with her. She stared at me for a long moment, then she laughed. Like, full on, hand over her mouth, trying not to spit out her coffee, laughed. "Are you serious?" she managed between giggles. I slumped in my seat. Dead serious. Turns out, I'm not the heartthrob in this story after all. Just the clueless narrator. She shook her head, still laughing, but her shoulders relaxed for the first time in weeks. "You know what? For once, I believe you. And honestly, that might be the best news I've heard all month." I grinned, relieved. "So, you're not mad?" "Mad?" she chuckled. "No, just
Looking
impressed.
back, it's almost
I always
funny.
knew your sister
For
had good
weeks,
taste."
I thought I was living in the middle of some messy love triangle, with my girlfriend on one side, my best friend on the other, and me, Mr. Irresistible, caught in the middle. Turns out, I wasn't the prize everyone was chasing. I was just background noise, the narrator of a story that wasn't even about me. Now, things feel lighter. My girlfriend isn't shooting daggers at me across the table anymore. Jenna still comes around, but when she does, her eyes aren't glued to me. They're on my sister. And my sister? Well, let's just say she's smiling more these days. Do I know where it'll go? Not really. Maybe nowhere. Maybe somewhere. But that's their story to write, not mine. As for me, I'm just relieved my love triangle turned out to be more of a straight line, one that led back to my own relationship. And hey, I'll admit it, for a brief moment, it did feel kind of nice thinking two women were fighting over me. My ego had a field day with that fantasy. But reality? Reality was a lot better. Because at the end of the day, I still have my girlfriend. My sister has a chance at something new. And Jenna? Well, Jenna definitely won't be writing my name in her diary anytime soon. Which is fine, honestly. Okay, maybe 90% fine.